Hey everybody, how are you? Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Picket Fence Studios YouTube channel. My name is Charlene. If you don't know me, I'm on the design team and I go live most Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central. So I wasn't here last week because I was on vacation. And I'll just let you know in case anybody's wondering, because I'm sure someone will see that my eye over here looks a little red. I did injure my eye last week, but it's fine. I'm fine. No big deal. But I just wanted to let you know. So I hope everyone watched my video last week. Let me know down in the comments if you liked that technique. We did some negative masking and emboss resist, which was really fun. My dog's down there making noises under my desk. Let's see, we've got Rhonda here, Christine, Kathy, good morning all of you. Good morning, Wendy, welcome. I think everything is working correctly, so if at any point you have trouble with hearing or seeing me, definitely try refreshing. And if that still doesn't work, let me know down in the comments. So I'm going to switch you guys over here to my desk. There we go. Hi. We're going to be using a couple of different items from the most recent release. I did want to show you, this is the card from the video. That's over on the Picket Fence Studios channel. So definitely check that out. Really pretty. Did some emboss resist here with some negative masking. Not difficult to do. So it's definitely a fun card and technique to check out. Let me set this over here. And let me take a drink of my coffee. You know, we got back from vacation on Saturday. Or was it Friday? It was Friday. It was super, super late, midnight or after that. And then on Saturday morning, I had to get up at, I don't know, some hour that people should not have to get up at. It was like 6 a.m. because my oldest had a full day, it was called an admitted students day at the college that he's starting in the fall. So I took him to that all day long. Man, I was tired. And Sunday was all day laundry. Yesterday was kids back to school and cleaning. It was just... it's just a mess. So I'm happy to get back to crafty time. Okay, we've got the garden topper die. This is a really awesome die because you can make this as complex or as simple as you want when you're putting together a card. It creates an awesome silhouette and takes up most of the front of an A2 sized card. You can see. So I made a card with this, I don't know, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And I cut the garden and flowers out in black. And then I made it a nighttime scene with fireflies, which lit up, which was kind of fun. Actually, it's right here. So here it is. So you can see, got these fun twinkle lights going. So this, I'm going to show you a completely different look using this die today. But you could just see it's very versatile. So that'll be fun. And then I think we're going to use a sentiment from this, which is the Like a Wildflower stamp set. Very pretty, very simple coloring. We might use these guys, Cotton Candy Clouds, glossy A2 card fronts. And I think we're going to use the window from the new basic die cutting die set. And this is fun. It's got a window, a little ledge here, several stitched ovals, and then several arches that you can cut out that fit really well with the window, and then you can use the windowsill. I don't have the supplies listed yet in the comments. I will have to do that at the end of today's stream. Let's see. Here we go. How's the weather where everyone is? It's rainy. Kathy, is it rainy where you are? Kathy's in Washington with me. And it is rainy and cold, and I know Kathy likes the rain. I do not. Especially if you're coming back from a nice warm vacation. I'm like, come back, sunshine. It feels like almost extra cold. So I'm going to cut this out of, not that, that's Nina. I'm going to cut this out of some Spectrum Noir cardstock, which is ultra smooth and a great cardstock for Copic marker coloring, which we're going to do that today using a die cut. Super fun little technique here. Now I'm going to put this on my card like this. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut it like that right now, I think, just to make my life a little easier. I'm going to bring it up just so I make sure it gets that whole line at the bottom cut correctly. Then I'm just going to center it how I think I'm going to want it on my card. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So we'll put this in. Maybe I'll tape it just to save myself a little bit of potential heartache if it decides to move on me last minute. There we go. And I'm going to put it at an angle. This always makes, when you are die cutting, I always recommend putting things at an angle in your die cutting machine because it cuts much more smoothly and you're not going to get that, you know, that thunk kind of sound when you run it through your die cutting machine. You like my sound effect? Kathy, yes. Oh, you like the rain only if it knows when to stop. That's funny, Kathy. Okay, I think I'm going to run this through a second time. It's probably all cut, but I'm just going to run it through a second time. So, yeah, the window dies are really fun. And those arches work perfectly with it. Oh, and you have sunshine and above normal temps. Ooh, I am jealous, Sue. Okay, let's hope I didn't mess this up when I double cut it. Oh, no, looks good. Okay, let's move this out of the way somewhere. Maybe over here. I think I'll probably cut out a couple more of those later here in order to create some dimension on the card. But let's just get started with the coloring. So I'm going to carefully get everything out here because we have all of these pretty little flower pieces and everything, and it can be really easy. I can already see I bent one here. So just be delicate with it because it is a very intricate die cut here. I like the sword I'm looking for. The embossing on the leaves is really pretty. And let's see. What else? What was I talking about? I don't know. Guys, my mind is going a million miles an hour. I'm super excited for my son to go to school in the fall. He took a couple years off after high school, and which high school was kind of a struggle for him. So I'm really happy that he is got his head back in the game and is ready to do something. So happy for that. He really enjoyed the day at the school. It's Western Washington University up in Bellingham, which is really close to the Canadian border. Very, very pretty drive up there, pretty day, other than the rain and clouds. But seeing the water and everything along the coast was really pretty. Oh, Kathy, you just got a new die cutting machine. Nice. Fun. Yeah, let me know how you like it. Arlette, good morning. Okay, we've got this all finally cut out and all of the little bits popped out and all of that. I'm just kind of wiping away any of those little paper hairs, as I call them. They're super annoying, right, guys? If you get a lot of them, I recommend you can use your eraser, like your adhesive eraser. Works great to get rid of them, as does a little fine sanding block. Works great too as well. Let's grab some markers. Let's see, what do we want to do? Let's grab some yellow greens, I think. We'll do some yellow greens here. I'm going to start out with, I think, YG 2.5. And I am going to color the entirety of these leaves and stem on this bottom piece here. Do you guys keep up with what's happening at the like in the crafting world with the new products coming out? I do. I always check out what's new and what companies are doing, partly because this is kind of my job, but also just because I love to see what innovative kind of things people are coming out with. And Olo Markers is going to have 32 new colors, which I have pre-ordered. And I am very excited because I really like the Olo markers. You guys have seen me use them several times. I like my Copics too, but I feel like the Olos just blend a little bit better. They do last longer because there's more ink in the barrel. And the Olos, I don't know, I feel like the quality of Copics has been going down, and I've heard a lot of people saying like their lids get cracked and just lots of different things like that. So I decided to try the Olos, and I love them, and they work great with the Copics too, right? Any alcohol-based marker you can combine and use together. But 32 new colors. I'm excited to see them and play with them and see how they fit into the existing markers that I have. So I've got YG 8.5 here, and I'm just coming in where the embossing on the die cut already is. So I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm literally just running my marker along that embossing to darken it up in those areas to make it more prominent when you're looking at the die cut. Oh, I already did that one. Oops. All right. Did I get them all? I think I did. I think this is the last one. Now, how much shading you choose to add is completely up to you. I am going to add just a little bit of probably some of that 8.5. Just kind of here and there along the areas that I know would be in shadow. And this is just going to give a little bit more kind of texture, interest for when you're looking at the finished product. So I'm just going along the bottom of a lot of these leaves where it comes down and meets the stem. And just kind of carrying that throughout. All right, now that I've got all of that extra lovely shading in there, I'm gonna go back to my YG 2.5 and just quickly run this over to blend everything out a little bit more. And make it a little bit more seamless in those color transitions. Now this works great with die cuts that have that embossed detail already on there. It just like coloring that detail and then running a lighter color back over it to blend it out really makes it look nice, I feel like. This will lighten up a little bit as it dries there. There's our leaves. And so that didn't take, drop it. That didn't take very long to do some coloring on there. It looks really nice. So for the next plant over here, I'm going to color the florals first, just so I know where those end before I color the leaves. So I can be a little bit more careful, I guess. Rhonda, yeah, the die is so fun. It's just a simple die, but you can do all kinds of things with it. You could color it, you could ink blend on it. The Pouncers, the pint-sized Pouncers would work really great with this as well. Let's color these. Oh, well, I know I want to color this purple, so maybe let's do that first. So I'm going to use some V2.3. And these are the little floral pieces here. I have no idea which kind of flower this is. I'm sure one of you out there does. So if you know, will you leave it in the comments? But I feel like these are purple. I feel like I've seen them and I feel like they're purple. So that's why I grabbed the purple. I could be totally wrong. And also, as I say this all the time too, you know, you don't have to, your paper flowers can be whatever color you want. They do not have to match nature. These could be bright teal if you want. In fact, this would actually be really pretty if you did it all in teals and blues and greens. That's also my favorite color combination, so that could be why I think that. All right, now I'm going to come in with V2.4, which is just slightly darker. And I'm going to come up and I'm actually going to add some fun little details here and there on this. Just a couple little lines. Let me hold it up so you guys can see. And in fact, let me zoom in a little bit and then you can see maybe a little better. What am I on? 19. Oh, just kidding. That's me. Not that camera, you silly. Go back. Okay. This camera. There we go. I'm at 30 and there we go. Let's take it all the way up. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, I'm adding these little lines just to give these some interest. There's no real, like, I don't even know if this is a correct detail, you know, in this kind of flower. But it's just adds a little bit of fun to it. Your eye is more drawn to it, right? When it has some extra stuff going on. And you could get really fancy and do like 3 different colors in order to get some really nice shading. But I'm keeping it very simple. For the most part, I'm going to be doing 2 colors on each of these. I'm coming back in with the 2.3 in order to just soften some of those lines on there by blending it out. And that's also a personal preference. Some people like there to be more detail lines and have them stay there. And if that's you, then, you know, don't go back over it, right? So it's completely personal preference on what kind of style you like. And as you color more and more, those types of stylistic preferences will become more apparent to you. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use this for these little, I don't know what these are, but I wish I would have looked this up now and looked up to see what these flowers are. But I'm going to use this blue. I'm going to use 2.2 for the light color. And then I feel like maybe that little top piece should be a different color. Like that little knobby piece. I don't know. It's kind of remind me of, I obviously know they're not blueberries, but it made me think of blueberries, which is why I decided to go with blue. Maybe after this live is done, I'll see if I can figure out what all of these flowers are. The extent of my floral knowledge comes from my grandmother. When I was little, she had a really big yard and she had a big garden, which was amazing. And it had flowers and it had, you know, vegetables and fruits. And I have all these memories of going out to the garden with her and like picking strawberries or green beans and then snapping the green beans in the kitchen. I, however, do not have a green thumb. I do not garden. I like the idea of it. Maybe someday I will garden, but not today. 2.6. So I know the flowers like that she grew. I'm going to use 2.6 on this little top part. I have no idea if that's accurate. She had 2 of my favorite flowers, and it could be why they're my favorite flowers was because I remember them from when I was little. But she had, I'm going to pull out 2.4. She had peonies and she had marigolds. And those are 2 of my favorite flowers now as an adult. And so I always love seeing them. Now, since this flower, whatever it is rounded, I'm going around the edges with the darker color just to give it that perception that it's 3D, that it has curved edges. I'm not being super fancy or careful with my coloring. I probably would take maybe a little bit more time to do it if I was not live, but I always like to show you guys that you don't have to have 4 hours to color something. You can color something pretty quickly and have it look nice. Let's go back to that 2.2 so we can blend that out. I'm just going to run my marker back over the whole thing. And see how that just softens things? There's a couple of things that really help with alcohol marker coloring. And one is the markers you're using. They absolutely do make a difference. Different markers just blend better than other markers. And then the other big thing is paper. The paper that you use can make a really big difference, especially with respect to kind of your style of coloring, right? So not everybody's going to color the same. Not everyone is going to put down as much ink as the next person. Like as far as the amount of pressure that they use, things like that. So what works well for one person might not work well for someone else. So keep that in mind too. And that same thing applies to pretty much any crafting product, right? Like some things that work well for me probably will not work well for other people. Now, all that said, I will say that people who make a lot of cards generally tend to be able to kind of figure out what's going to make life easier for the majority of people. So keep that in mind too. And I will say that most people do better with coloring when they have a paper that is able to absorb a lot of the alcohol marker, the alcohol ink. So, for instance, I don't recommend, especially if you're newer. By the way, this is RV 2.2, and then for my dark RV 0.4. For those of you that are newer to alcohol marker coloring, I generally do not recommend starting out with a cardstock like Nina for coloring. Now, I love Nina Solar White cover stock. I use both 80 pound and 110 pound all the time for all kinds of different things. But for new colorists, I do not recommend it. Now, I will color on it sometimes because I have done a lot of coloring at this point, and so I kind of have a better sense of the amount of pressure to put down on the paper so that it doesn't bleed. But Nina tends to suck up the alcohol ink and spread very quickly. So you can't put a lot of ink on there right away. Whereas other papers like this Spectrum Noir paper or the Express It blending paper, they can take a lot more alcohol ink. You can go over it several times before it starts to bleed. And what I mean, by bleeding is before it starts to seep out from the edges of where you've already colored. I use the Spectrum Noir because it is reasonably priced. The Express It blending paper is fantastic. If you want top of the line blending paper, that's the one I say go for. But it's like super expensive for paper. Just keep that in mind. This one is really reasonably priced. And I'll link all this stuff once the live is done, if I remember. So I brought in some 8.7 here, and I just colored the base of these little flower things. I have no idea if they're supposed to be that color, but I liked it. And I'm gonna bring in, what do I want to bring in here? No, I don't have a darker. Okay, let's do 8.5 and 8.7 for this piece over here, because I like the idea of this being darker on this edge. So I'm going to start with the 8.5, cover this whole thing. Now, if you were concerned about where you're drawing your lines on the die cut in order to color, you also could just use a little piece of tape or masking paper, Post-it tape to keep yourself from coloring where the color's not supposed to go. Now, the nice part about alcohol inks is, in particular, when you're working with a lighter color, but you can also do it with a darker color. You could come in with your colorless blender, or for Olos, it's called as your zero marker, and kind of color over it and then color a different color in its place. I've done that before. If I color something and especially with florals, if I've colored something and I'm not happy, like say with the particular shade of something that I've chosen, I will go back and do that. But I try to avoid that one because it uses up a lot of your colorless blender. Two, it's just easier if you use the color that you picked to begin with. But don't be afraid of trying to change things or fix things. I have been known to completely deconstruct a card and reconstruct it because I didn't like something. And I just knew it was going to bug me until it was fixed. One time I made a whole shaker card. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a long time, you probably saw the video. But I made a shaker card and it had these 3 windows and it had these cute little monsters in it. And I finished up and I decided that I did not like the white background behind the 3 monsters. So I completely took apart the shaker card, colored the background behind the monsters, and then put it all back together again. But I was happy, right? Once I was done. Have you guys ever done that? Anybody ever fully taken apart a card? Coffee break. This is looking nice. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty. So mostly greenery left here to do. I want to try and vary the greenery. So maybe let's bring in, I feel like we could probably do this. And let me bring in some other greens here. What do we have? Let's do maybe a 1.4 and a 1.8 on the, let's try it on the blueberries that are not blueberries. I'm just going to call them blueberries. Now the 1.8 I'm going to bring in is a lot darker, so it's going to darken this up. I know that because my first reaction here is, whoa, that's too light. But the 1.8 is quite a bit darker, so it'll darken it up. Let's see. Now, if I was coloring this with the paper Pouncers, what I would suggest is not trying to be too true to life. What I think would look fun for something like this is if you did kind of covered each of these and pounced each of them a different color. I think that would look fun. Or you could do some partial pouncing where you did like an ombre. So you could do like a light blue, a medium blue, and a darker blue going down there. That would look really pretty as well. Or any kind of ombre. You could do it in pinks, reds, oranges, yellows, whatever you wanted to do. If you wanted to make this kind of a real bright, summery card, you could do real bright colors versus if you want it to be springy, you can bring in more pastel type colors. Rhonda, you've taken apart a card. Yes! I'm glad to know I am not alone in that. Arlette, can you use the paper inking palettes with alcohol markers? Yes, you just have to keep in mind that some of the colors might stain it. And as long as you're okay with that, you are good to go. I just didn't even think to pull mine out because sometimes I like to be able to move my piece all the way around. But I have colored with alcohol markers on the paper inking palettes before. And you can just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol to clean them off. It's not going to hurt them. I know there's a lot of people that believe that you will hurt stamps with rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. You won't. It's a very, very mild solvent. When you see those warnings to not use solvents, they're talking about like heavy duty industrial grade solvents. They are not talking about a very mild solvent. And in fact, a lot of stamps, when they are made, when they are done being made, are put in a mild bath to clean off any yucky residue. They'll put into a mild bath of rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, some solution, alcohol-based solution. So as long as you are not, like taking isopropyl alcohol and taking a stamp and like soaking it for hours, I mean, you're not going to have any issues, guys, with just a little bit. You also could use hand sanitizer, which is the same thing. It has isopropyl alcohol in it with some other additives. What did I do on this now? I did 1.4 and 1.7, right, guys? Okay, I'm going to bring back in the 1.4. Thank you, Sue. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, Christina. Yay. Okay, so we got our dark in there. Remember I said that was going to darken it up and make it look not quite so bright as the rest. And I think it worked just fine. I brought in the darks kind of along some of the petals. Wasn't really paying attention to where I was putting it so much as just trying to get some randomness. I did bring it kind of along the base of these little blueberry guys. And then I'm just blending it all back out with the 1.4. So this is looking very fun. Let me grab. Yeah, I did a ton of walking last week. And then this weekend I did a bunch of hills and stairs. And at the college campus in Bellingham is very hilly. And then yesterday I was like just up and walking around all day. And I'm not like the youngest spring chicken, so my knee hurts. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to clean that because the marks were making it a little bit hard to sort of see on camera. So I wanted to make sure you guys could see really well. I think, what do we want to do here? And this is why I'm excited about the new colors, because it'll give me more color options with the Olos. Let's do, oh, that might look pretty. Let's do a YG 8.3. And that's what I'm going to use to color this. And then I'm gonna bring in some brighter, but kind of darker of the 2.5. And when I say darker, I mean like concentration. So there's two numbers that are important with any kind of alcohol marker. A lot of them follow this, where there is the color and the level kind of color or shade, excuse me, and then the intensity of that, right? So you could have a darker color that is less intense, like this 8.5 or 8.3. So it's darker, which is what the 8 signifies, but the color's darker, but the shade is very light in terms of like the intensity is very light. Trying to find the right words to use here. And then the 2.5, the color is lighter, the 2, but the 5 is the intensity. So it's going to come on and have the appearance anyway, even though it's the lighter color, it'll have the appearance of being the darker color. Does that make sense? Or is that like a bunch of gobbledygook to you guys? I know when I first started coloring, I was trying to understand how that worked, the numbers, and I was like, this makes zero sense. I think these people are making it up. Okay, I want this to have a little bit more interest, so I'm actually gonna draw a couple of little lines here. There we go. Now I can come back in with my 8.3 and blend all of that out a little bit, just to make it a little more smooth, those transitions. There we go. Okay. Ah, Kathy, yes, nail polish remover. Acetone is definitely, Kathy says she learned the hard way to not use nail polish remover on stamps or a MISTI lid. Now, it's probably, I'm guessing acetone nail polish remover. That is a definitely a more caustic solvent than isopropyl alcohol. It's like, why, if you have nail polish on and you put rubbing alcohol, it's not going to remove it, right? But if you put acetone or nail polish remover, it has much stronger solvents in it, and so it will, just like it'll take your nail polish off, it will take off your any kind of writing that you have on your MISTI, like if it's not the laser etched one, if it has any type of just markings on it, it will take those off. So I definitely do not recommend using nail polish remover. Two definitely different things. I'm glad Kathy mentioned that, because I didn't even think about that. Okay, I'm going to come in with some 1.4 here because I want to sort of balance the bright greens with the darker greens. Yeah, Rhonda, the different colors and adding that little bit of shading with a couple little pops of color here and there, it just adds a lot of 3D aspects to it. It makes it much more interesting to look at than just doing a solid coloring, which you could do, that still be pretty, right? But all these things are just, the extras add a little bit of fun, right? If you have the time, why not? Why not add those few little extras in? Okay, so I used, I believe, it was a while ago now, but I think I used 8.7 on those little pieces. Let's give it a try. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the 8.7. And because these have these big leaves, I'm going to add a little bit of fun kind of line work here. Just to give it a little bit more interest. Define a few things. And these will blend out a fair bit here. Okay, I think that's good. Now let's go back to, I think it was 1.4, right? When I'm talking, I start forgetting what I was doing. My brain only has so much room to remember what I'm doing, guys. And I might even bring in another color on this one, just to, I feel like it needs a little bit more than what I've got here. So maybe I'll bring in the little bit of 8.5 as well. Just to, I don't know, give it a little something more. I feel like it needs a little more something. Okay, then let's go back in with that. 1.4, one more time. I feel like maybe I used too different of a color, but that's all right. I think once it dries, it'll look nice. Okay, there we go. What do you guys think? I think that that worked out pretty nice. And with alcohol inks, the other thing to keep in mind is sometimes you just need to take a step back. Like I could continue to mess with that one I just did because to be honest with you, I'm not super happy with the last one I did there. But I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to give it some time, because also what will happen is while it is drying, it will continue to blend out more. So you don't want to just keep working it, because then you might just get to a point where it's it's like doesn't look great. So sometimes it's best just to set it aside and let it do its thing. I think it'll be good once it does. All right, so we've got our piece here. Where are we on time? We're 10:50. We spent a bunch of time coloring today, but I think it was good because you could see all of the how to do all of that detail work. I try to change up what I'm doing so that way each week, so that way you guys can see a couple of different ideas on what to do. So I'm going to use Friends and Wildflowers Can Grow Anywhere is what that one says. I like that one. This says, I'm glad you're my wildflower. I love your wild side. These are cute. All right, I'm going to stamp this. And I'm going to stamp it right on there. So let me grab my MISTI here. Pop it right in. Make sure that this is kind of centered. Hopefully. I think that's good. I need to come down a little bit. Let's take a look. I think that looks right. Okay, let me grab my black ink. Okay. Got some black hybrid ink here. And I'm gonna go real light because this is a very fine line sentiment. So I do not want to press hard at all when I am adding it. I'm just gonna kind of lightly run my finger over this so that it retains all of that pretty lettering. Then I'll stamp it a second time. Again, very lightly so that we don't lose that fine line work and get kind of a messy sentiment. For whatever reason, it needs a little bit more on the wildflower word. There we go. Pretty. Friends and wildflowers can grow anywhere. That's a nice sentiment. Okay, set that over there. Set this out of the way. I'm going to pull out the basic die cutting set 1. If I can get it out of here. There we go. And I'm going to cut out that, by the way, that sentiment was from Like a Wildflower. Very pretty set. I'm going to cut out a window. And then I'm also going to cut out, no, I'm just going to cut out the window. Let's cut out the window and see how that looks. I have kind of an idea where I'm going with this, but let's do this and see where we're at with time. I'm just kind of lining this up right now. I want it to be in the center, so I'm using my glass mat to help with that. Hopefully that is pretty well centered, I think. And you might be wondering, why are you bothering to do it in the center? Because it's going to cut out that whole thing. And the reason is because I'm going to try anyway to also use the outer piece. We'll see. I might not. I'm going to run this through and back. Here and see if that centered well. It did. I got a little bit of a something on there. Let's get our window here. Man, that cut really nicely. All right, let me see, because I have sort of an idea in my head of what I'm thinking. Not sure I'll have time to completely finish it. I'm making a mess, guys. Messy mess time. We used to sing with the kids when they were little. What was it? Oh, clean up, everybody, everywhere. Clean up, everybody, do your share. I don't know. We picked that up somewhere. Probably at daycare or maybe preschool. I don't know. So my thought was we're going to just go ahead and inset this back in there. Maybe pop it up. Look, that'll look pretty. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm going to take another piece here of cardstock. I'm not worried that it's bent. if I get cardstock that's bent, I just use it anyway. And I just use it as like for pieces where I'm cutting stuff out of or stuff like that. I've got some Distress Oxide Tumbled glass here. I'm going to color my sky. I had thought I was going to use the cotton candy paper, which is really pretty, the cotton candy clouds. But I think it's going to be too pink with those pretty pink flowers that I put on there. So I'm just going to pounce some of the tumbled glass on here to create a background, because I know it doesn't have to be super like perfect, because it's going to represent a sky that's kind of maybe a little cloudy, and the Pouncers just make it really easy to quickly color something in and get good coverage. If you don't have Pouncers, you need them in your life. And I know like, yes, I am on the Pick Event Studios design team. Yes, I go through and show products for the company. I'm on the company's YouTube channel right now. But I'm telling you from a personal level, like, I love my Pouncers. I do. And I will sing from the mountaintops about them. So let's see, did I get enough? I did not go up high enough. Let's add a little bit more. Bring it up here. And as this dries back, it'll actually smooth out even more. I generally, though, the Pouncers I use them all the time to color die cuts. And the bite-sized Pouncers are really handy. I was going to say, if you're going to get one or the other, like if you don't have room, I say the full-size ones. But I really enjoy having both, and I have the room. So I'm happy that I have both of them. Okay, so we've got our window, or our arch, I guess that was created. And then we'll put our window there. And my other thought was that we could potentially make this into a shaker by putting some acetate back there and using some of the new A Bird's Feathers sequins. These are really pretty, and maybe I can just show you real quick on here. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but it has, you see that? It has these fun little feather pieces in there. Very kind of like bohemian almost with the feather pieces. I don't know. I might turn this into a shaker, guys, afterwards. Might not. For now, I think we're at 11 o'clock, so I don't want to take up the time to turn this into a shaker. But this is essentially our finished card. I'm not going to glue it or anything right now because I don't want to take your time. If you guys want to see the fully finished and whether or not I added a shaker, I will post it over on my Instagram, which is Dreamcraft Create. Pretty. Thank you, Kathy. Or like, yeah, that envelope is really pretty in the stamp set. Thank you, Rhonda. Who wants to take this card or have this card mailed to them? I will mail it to somebody in the comments. I'm going to select someone, so I'm going to give you a minute here to put a comment down there if you're interested in having the card sent to you, mailed to you. Let me switch over. What am I doing? Front. There we go. Hi. Yes. There's my Instagram. You can follow me over there if you want to see my cards as well. Yay. So I've got, Kathy, you love the Pouncers. I know, they're so good. They're just so good. You can use them for so many things. And also Picket Fence Studios makes my favorite standard size blending brush, I think. I don't know. There's so many good ones though. But Picket Fence has some awesome tools. They're awesome company, awesome owner, awesome tools. And that's my cheerleading. Woo! Go Picket Fence. Okay, we've got some comments down in there. I'm going to come over here. Thank you, Bev. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to kind of just go back and forth here with my eyes closed. We're going to count to 3. 1, 2, and 3. And Sue, is it Ike? Is that how you pronounce your last name? I'm not 100% sure. Send me an email at that email, contact@dreamcraftcreate, and with your address, and I will mail this card off to you. Might be a shaker, might not be. I don't know. We'll see how much time I have and what I think. But that is pretty much going to finish off today's live. Make sure to like and subscribe. And that way you'll get notified about future lives, future videos here on the channel. Again, Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central, I go live most weeks and we do fun techniques. So thanks guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and I appreciate you all. So have a good day. Bye.